Errol Spence is activating his rematch clause against Terence Crawford. This, to me, is probably the last significant fight of Errol Spence's career. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, why can't Errol Spence avenge the loss? Deontay Wilder avenged the loss. I mean, not avenge, but he almost knocked Fury out in the third fight after getting dominated in the second fight. Or Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. Joshua avenged the loss. Totally different animal. First off, that was heavyweight boxing. Heavyweight boxing, one punch can change the game. You're talking about a guy like Deontay Wilder who has probably the hardest knockout in the history of the sport, the hardest knockout punch, biggest power. Errol Spence has never shown any serious one-punch knockout ability, so that's not happening. He's not one-punch KOing Terence Crawford. Very unlikely. Now we go to the Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua situation. In the Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua situation, Anthony Joshua knocked Andy Ruiz down first. Ruiz got up, landed a big left hook after taking another right hand, and Joshua was stunned. He was off balance. He got hit in his equilibrium, was no good at the temple of his head, and he got knocked down once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and that happened. Then Joshua devised a completely different game plan to beat him in the rematch. Errol Spence has never, ever fought differently. He only has one mode, Errol Spence, and that is pressure, jab, jab, body punch, more work rate, more aggression. He's never shown any ability to fight off the back foot. That's why any talk of him being the Sugar Ray Leonard or Floyd Mayweather or some kind of all-time great welterweight to me was always ridiculous. He only has one mode. Now, you could only have one mode and still be great, but if that one mode does not work, what are you going to fall back on? So I'm not saying you can't be a one-dimensional fighter and be great, but I don't think Errol Spence's one dimension is so great where he can not have a second mode. So for me, I don't see this happening. Andrew Ruiz versus Joshua. Joshua fought a completely different game plan. And I'm going to say very frankly, Andrew Ruiz is not Terence Crawford. So I think it's very unlikely that he wins this rematch. I do respect his heart. I do respect his championship mentality. But this is probably the last fight of Errol Spence's career. You know, I have to say, and he's taking a big risk with his health. Not just his boxing career, but his actual physical health. I don't know if his team advised him not to do it, but he wanted to do it anyways. That could be. Maybe the money's playing a factor into it. But I just think ultimately what plays a factor into it is Errol Spence's pride and ego. He's very prideful, and he's a true champion in the sense that he wants to keep fighting. And even in the first fight, he wanted to keep going, even when the ref stopped it. He was like, why are you stopping it? Why are you stopping it? That shows his heart. So I respect Errol Spence. He's a complete warrior. But I don't see the rematch being much different than the first fight. I know it's at 154, and they're going to try to use that as a selling point. The extra weight is going to help him. But maybe it would have made a difference if the first fight was at 154. But now that you've taken all that punishment, the 154 is not going to make a difference. I don't think it's going to make a very big difference. You know, very, very marginal, very small difference is what it's going to make. I just don't think he's going to be able to do much in this fight. I think once he gets hit a few times, Errol Spence, his face is going to mark up. He's not going to have the punch resistance. And it's going to be a sharpshooting event for the number one sharpshooter in boxing and best timing in boxing, possibly ever, honestly. And Terence Crawford, you know, having the best timing ever. It's just going to be very tough. I mean, the only way he can win this fight, Errol Spence, is if Terence Crawford just does not take it seriously and he overlooks, you know, Errol Spence. Because, you know, he has been doing a lot of media and stuff, and maybe the success has gotten to Crawford. I seriously doubt that, though, because Crawford trains every single fight like a maniac, and he's never been out of shape, and he's always had the proper discipline. So I would be surprised if now he let his foot off the gas a little bit. But if that happened, he would have a shot. But I don't think it's going to be much different. I just don't. And to people saying that it's going to be different, if you thought that Errol Spence is past his prime after the first fight, right? And he's 4 years after the car accident, and he's never, you know, he's not the same. What makes you think 4 years after the car accident and taking a big beating, now he's going to be the same because he's moving up in weight? It's just wishful thinking. It's not going to happen. I think Terence Crawford knocks Errol Spence out, and Errol rides off to the sunset and probably has a Hall of Fame career, or at least borderline Hall of Fame. But boxing, they're pretty lenient in who gets in, so he'll probably get in. But yeah, it's probably the last fight of Errol Spence's career. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Errol Spence has a better chance in the rematch and I'm letting on? Or is this just a bad idea and he shouldn't have done the rematch? Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.